So a very warm welcome to everybody who is joining us today. We are going to be looking at this very fascinating subject of sleep and how it impacts your weight loss journey, or can have quite a considerable impact on your weight loss journey. It's a really important topic. And I'm joined today by Mandeep. Mandeep, do you want to introduce yourself and then I'll introduce myself? Let's do it back to front today.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Ruth. Hi, everyone. My name is Mandeep. I am a pharmacist by background, and I'm also one of the weight loss service leads here at Boots Online Doctor. So, yeah, thank you for asking me to come along today, Ruth.
No, it's lovely to have you here. And for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Ruth Taylor. I'm a nutritionist and also a registered nurse with Boots Online Doctor. And we're joined today by one of our colleagues, Chital, who's here to share any links that we talk about, help us with any IT issues, which we're already experiencing a few of those, but hopefully they're all sorted now, and really to manage your questions. So on the subject of questions, do, by the way, say hi in the chat box. We love to hear from you. We love to know where you are. Um, and hopefully our names are the right way around. It could be that they look mirrored. Do let us know if they are the wrong way around. We'll try and sort that out. But new slides, everything's a little bit confusing to begin with. So do say hi in the chat box. Do let us know where you are. Do say hello to one another. We really want to hear from you. We'd love to know how you can't see anything. Oh my goodness. We are sharing the slides, I believe. I am from Kent. Hi, Daff, you're from Kent, and you're in the final part of your weight loss journey with just £7 to lose. Well done. Um, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see the slides? We should be sharing those. You should be able to see the whole slide and just some little faces up in the top corner of your screen. Hi from Brainer from Belfast. Hello to Karina from Cambridgeshire. Um, Hi also to Claire in Canterbury and Debbie or Deborah. Don't know where you are, Deborah, but good to see you. Somebody had the biggest non-scale victory this morning. A lady said, "It's all right for you, you're nice and slim." How lovely. I can really value how that is. How wonderful. Well done. That's hold on to that memory. That will get you through those moments where everything doesn't feel like it's what you want it to be. So important, isn't it? Right, if you've brought questions along with you today, please put them into the Q&A box. It would make it much easier for us to find them. You'll find that Q&A box on the bottom of your screen. There will be the option of putting them in there. We will have a look through the chat box, but we can't guarantee answering them. We've also got an upvoting system on the questions now, so that if lots of you want the same sort of question answered, you can upvote and we'll know that that's an important question for us to put some attention to. So let's move on and let's think about what we have lost here is our accountability slide. So do let us know how you've been getting on over the last week. If you've had any wins, apart from the wonderful win of being told you're nice and slim, how amazing is that? Karina, I think that's amazing. So anyone else have a good win or any awarenesses that you've come across over the last week of just what's triggering you perhaps to snack, or how life is impacting your journey in a good way or in a bad way? Just share. We're here to support you 100%. So we've got a little poll. The polls are completely anonymous. So I'm going to share the first poll with you, all about sleep, and to hear really what's going on for you. There's no right or wrong answer. Please take part if you wish to. Don't feel obliged to. And we will just get a general sense of perspective about what's happening for most people, whether you're waking up feeling refreshed, whether you're feeling tired on some days, whether you're getting that good quality sleep but not really feeling like you're getting it. It's different for all of us. And also when it's hot and the weather is sunny, that can really have a big impact on our hormones and our sleep, can't it, Mandeep? So no, it's sort of like a tricky time of year for many people. So from those of you that have answered the poll so far, um, no one is sleeping well and feeling refreshed. Absolutely no one has chosen that as an option. About 20% of you are having poor sleep most nights. Around 40% of you sleep okay but feel tired. sometimes in the day, I guess. And around 40% of you are struggling with sleep quite regularly. So that's helpful to know and really relevant for you to be here. So thank you for sharing that. Really interesting to know what's going on in the room. So you might be asking yourself what sleep has got to do with weight loss. It's not something that we talk about very often in society. It's not something I ever heard when I went to any of those slimming clubs that I used to go along to. Um, and I guess this is relevant for anyone at whatever stage of your weight loss journey you're on, whether you're starting out, whether you're in the middle, towards the end, or even in maintenance. Sleep is really important. Sleep plays a crucial role in staying well and also in helping us to maintain a healthy weight, also helping us to lose weight. So many people think of sleep as something to fix during weight loss, but it's actually something that is a long-term ally. If we get our sleep working for us, it's really going to help our bodies work well for us. And it can really have quite an important role, as we're going to hear today, in terms of appetite, how our hormones are regulated around our appetite, and really how it can have an impact on how much we eat. So our appetite, we talk about this in some of the webinars, but we have a couple of hormones that really are the ones which directly affect our appetite. And these are called ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin is a hunger hormone and it promotes hunger. And leptin is the one that tells us that we're full and that we've eaten enough and that we're satisfied. These hormones, both of them, are really impacted by how much sleep and the quality of sleep that we get. So the research, and we're all about the research here, we're all about sharing evidence. The research has found that if we don't get enough sleep or we don't sleep well, the amount of ghrelin that we produce increases. So our hunger naturally increases if we don't sleep well. But also our satisfaction with what we eat reduces. So our leptin hormone reduces as well. So you've got the double whammy effect, if you like. Too little sleep will regularly is linked to a situation called leptin resistance. So this is where a whole hunger, satiety pattern and how we feel after we've eaten can be really impacted by those whole sleep cycles that we do or don't have. That means if you're sleeping badly regularly, or you're not getting enough sleep, or you're feeling up, waking up, you've slept, but you don't feel refreshed, what's going on? Is your sleep quality not very good? And it could be that it isn't just what we've eaten, it is all about those hormones. We also know that if we're not sleeping enough, our food choices will be affected in a not particularly helpful way if we're on a weight loss journey. So I'm sure we can all relate to feeling tired or sleep deprived. And we can all relate, I'm sure, because we've talked about cravings, to having those cravings. But the two things are can't think of the word. They are linked. I can't think of the word. So there is a huge link between the two. And we know that when we are sleep deprived and we're craving, we're going to crave not just any food. We're unlikely to crave apples or cherries. We're much more likely to crave foods that are high in calories and also high in those less healthy carbohydrates, the sort of more refined carbohydrates, the white foods, the sort of like cookies, the donuts, the cakes, all of those things become more important, the breads, the pastas. And those foods are the ones that we know are significantly linked to an increased risk of weight gain or more of a difficulty in losing weight. So they might give us a temporary sugar high, might make us feel a little bit better in the moment. But as we've talked around in the cravings webinar, actually we know that these sorts of foods will negatively affect our blood sugar balance. They'll negatively affect our energy levels over time, and we'll end up having a little bit of an increase in our energy followed by a dip. When we have that dip in our energy, we will then reach for the next sugar fix because it's the next thing, or maybe even a caffeine fix, and caffeine is really relevant too. So all of those things that are going to make us feel a little bit more like we can cope are actually going to be having that sort of negative spiraling effect on our weight loss journeys. This is also true in maintenance. So this is just as important for anyone who's here, irrespective of where you are. We can end up feeling really tired. We can end up feeling hungry. We can end up in a cycle where we're almost chasing our tail. And also the foods that we will choose to eat when we're feeling this rubbish are going to be the ones that are contributing to a lack of insulin sensitivity, a more greater predisposition to weight gain. It's sort of just resetting everything for us in a not healthy way. So really have a think about your sleep, what's going on for you, and whether this is relevant to you, whether you recognize yourself here. So Mandeep, you're going to go into a little bit more about hormones.
Yeah, thanks, Ruth. Really interesting, and I definitely can relate to what you've just spoken about. When I not had a great night's sleep, and definitely reaching for biscuits with the tea the next day, which isn't my usual thing, but definitely relatable. So yeah, let's talk a little bit more about some of the other hormones, which are also linked in with sleep. So cortisol. So we hear a lot about cortisol. Cortisol, it's often called the body's stress hormone. And it helps to regulate our energy, blood sugars, our blood pressure, metabolism, inflammation, and it is also linked to our sleep-wake cycle as well. So too much cortisol impacts the production of melatonin, which is linked to our sleep-wake cycle. So cortisol should peak first thing in the morning, and it helps us to keep awake. But if our cortisol levels are dysregulated, this can affect our production of melatonin and, in turn, the ability to sleep. Sleep deprivation and poor sleep quality disrupts the natural cortisol rhythm. So, a lack of sleep leads to elevated cortisol levels at night, which can then interfere with your ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. So, essentially, creating this kind of vicious cycle. And then too much cortisol can also lead to, as well as disrupting our sleep, it's also going to lead to weight gain. And this is also true, as Ruth mentioned previously, if you're in the weight loss maintenance phase as well. Excess cortisol can disrupt your hunger, leads to more cravings, and we will look at this a little in a little bit more detail in our stress webinar. So we'll give you some details for that at the end. Other factors which can also affect our cortisol levels and also impact sleep as well are things like your caffeine intake, blood sugars, long-term stress, any kind of long-term pain or inflammation that you may be managing, and also shift work as well. So, quite an important link to think about there. Some of the other hormones to consider then, got on here estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So, these are known as our sex hormones. And dysregulation of these can affect our sleep length and quality for both men and women as well. So, when these hormones are out of balance, sleep can become shorter, lighter, and more fragmented as well. That poor sleep can then affect our appetite hormones, increase cravings, insulin sensitivity, and our energy levels and recovery. And so then that in turn makes weight loss much more difficult. And it's also kind of important to remember when we've lost weight, our body sometimes remembers its previous set point as well. And it's always kind of, so it's known as the set point theory, and our body's always trying to get back to that previous point. So having balanced hormones through good sleep, it does help your body to adapt and then sustain this your new kind of new weight and your new set point.
Yeah, it is such a crucial and so overlooked. Don't you think it's just something we don't talk about? And actually, when I think about it, I've not asked many questions about sleep. So I think generally we're not recognizing the big link here, are we? Not that we can blame ourselves, but if we're not talking about it, then how are we supposed to know, really and truly? So, as we've already talked about, we know that too little sleep increases how much hunger we're going to experience. So, the research 100% tells us that we are going to snack more. And interestingly, if we're sleeping less than 5 hours a night, and I have to put my hand up and say that will be me a couple of nights at least a week, maybe not the snacking because I've got that nailed a little bit more, but we're likely to consume an extra 300 calories a day. And they're often from those sort of like high sugar, high processed foods, often high in the saturated fats and the high sugar. And then you're in that whole spiral that we were talking about before of that blood sugar dysregulation, then leading to more hunger. And really, we're also going to be burning less calories when we're eating those foods, and our insulin sensitivity is going to change. So we looked at some research that actually was fascinating, and it found that some healthy people were invited to take part in a sleep trial. So they went along. They were people who had absolutely no health problems whatsoever. They weren't overweight. They were healthy young individuals. And they were put through a system whereby they were subjected to being in an experiment, if you like, where they had less than 4 hours sleep a night for 6 nights. And bizarrely or shockingly, after those 6 nights, those people went from being completely healthy to being in a pre-diabetic blood glucose range. So I find that absolutely staggering. They had no health parameters going on before, and just the pure sleep deprivation made such a huge difference to how their blood glucose was working in their bodies. So we know that blood glucose dysregulation is something that can really affect our ability to lose weight and also can contribute to weight gain. This is really important. And obviously, as we all know, I'm sure that it can increase our risk of diabetes and also that whole inflammatory metabolic health processes. So we know also that fewer than 5 hours sleep a night regularly is linked to people being overweight or obese by another 40% risk of that. So it's staggering, really staggering. And we're just not talking about this enough. So this is why this webinar is so important. It puts sleep well and truly on the map of something we all need to put some focus in for our long-term health and for living in a healthy body. So, not only that, the last really bad message I think I have today is that also when we're sleeping badly, we are much more likely to be losing part of our muscle health. So, our muscle loss will lose muscle rather than fat. So, one of the things we talk about a lot, Mandeep, isn't it, is the type. We don't want weight loss for weight loss sake. We want weight loss that is healthy weight loss. We want to encourage everybody to lose weight slowly and to lose weight that is primarily fat mass that you're reducing. The other side of that coin is we want you to preserve your muscle mass. And if you're regularly sleeping badly and you're losing weight, that is going to be much harder. So if you're consistently sleep deprived, we know now from the research that you're going to have a greater loss of your muscle mass, and that will be making it harder in the fullness of time for you to maintain a healthy weight. So when sleep slips, old habits can easily resurface, and really sleep is one of our vital reset buttons. I hope that makes sense, but please ask if there's any questions. For me, this is crucially important message for us all to understand. Mandeep, it's shocking, isn't it? It
Yeah.
never ceases to surprise me.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Ruth. I think we try and nail the nutrition, physical activity, and actually things like sleep, we do forget it
Like
kind of on the back burner.
slips under the radar, doesn't it,
Yeah.
really? Yeah.
Yeah, no, really interesting. So yeah, so let's have a little think about so caffeine now. So it's really important, I guess, to think about how much caffeine we're having and when in context of our sleep as well. So lots of us are big fans of caffeine. So whether that's in the form of coffee, tea, green tea, matcha, Coke, the list goes on really. Um, but generally, I guess 400 milligrams is generally considered to be the upper limit of caffeine which you should be consuming, if you consume caffeine, that is, to avoid any negative side effects. So that's things like the jitters, anxiety, and of course sleep problems as well. So if you're within the limit and you're still struggling to sleep, then I would recommend you reduce the amount of caffeine that you're consuming during the day, and maybe switch to decaffeinated drinks after a certain time, so like after lunchtime, for example. People do process caffeine at different rates, but generally speaking, it takes about an hour for caffeine levels to peak in the body after they've been consumed, and then they can stay at this level for several hours by most people. And then by about 5 to 6 hours, half of that caffeine will have been cleared, and then it takes this time again for a further half of what is left to leave the body. So it can hang around for quite a while. But then also consider the impact of too much sugar and refined foods, as well as alcohol, because these can also affect sleep quality and quantity as well. And even if you're maintaining your weight loss, Then caffeine timing still matters as well. So even, small kind of late day doses, they can reduce like that restorative sleep, if you like, and can affect your appetite the next day. So I guess as a general kind of rule of thumb is maybe stop drinking your caffeine by lunchtime and switch to some alternative options. And definitely water, stay hydrated.
Yeah, drink the water, don't stay away from it. Yeah, absolutely. So, how much sleep? I guess it becomes quite obvious, really, if we know that, our how we burn our excess weight is affected by too little sleep, then how much do we really need? Well, the research says probably between 7 and 9 hours a night is what we should be aiming for as an optimal amount. Now, we're all living in the real world, and we know that that isn't always achievable. But I think, as a rule of thumb, we should be aiming for a minimum, an absolute baseline of 6, and really the baseline should be 7. If you're somebody who has struggled inherently to sleep well, or you're really noticing broken sleep patterns, pop some questions in the chat. We'll do our best to answer them, or into the Q&A box, I should say. But actually, really start thinking about how you can prioritize your sleep. And what can you do in the evening to calm everything down to really help you get those sleep hours in? And maybe start thinking about how much sleep you're currently getting, what that looks like across the week. Are there certain days which are more difficult than others? Or have you just got into habits? I know so many people who will just, when they're utterly exhausted, will sit in front of the TV because they want to do something that's not work, and will fall asleep in front of the TV. They'll have a little cat nap for 20 minutes. They'll then wake up, watch a bit more TV, and really struggle to get back to sleep. And so maybe think about what your patterns are. We want to be thinking about that consistent sleep. There is some research that suggests that the sleep that we get before midnight can really help us in terms of resetting our health. So, actually, aiming to get a little bit of sleep before midnight again might be something to be thinking about aiming for. But don't forget, this is all about your energy, your appetite, your metabolism, how your body is burning fat. All of those things really important to be thinking about. So, people who keep a really steady sleep routine really will find that that will help them be successful in terms of their whole weight loss approach, really. So, we're going to talk a little bit about the foods that might help and drinks that might help, and then we'll come to your questions.
Thanks, Ruth. So yeah, so we get asked quite a lot, don't we? What kind of foods can I eat to help with sleep and promote sleep? So I guess the essential bit is your core eating plan to balance your hormones. That's kind of vital if you're experiencing sleep disruption. But even if you're sort of in your weight loss and weight maintenance phases as well, so it's really important to kind of stick to that throughout the day. A couple of these are kind of some examples of foods which are evidence-based, which may help to promote sleep as well. So kiwi, I find this one a bit odd. I think I spoke to you about it earlier, Ruth, but yeah, apparently 2 kiwi at night, it helps to boost our serotonin levels, which can help to improve the sleep cycle. And I think from the study, people found that they got to sleep faster and slept longer. So I guess if you're looking for something, maybe you try kiwis at night. Almonds, I think almonds, we know this one is a really good source of melatonin and magnesium, and both obviously which are really helpful for promoting restful sleep. It might also be worth considering maybe some a moderate amount of protein before going to bed. This can help to promote better sleep as well, especially anything which is rich in tryptophan proteins. So, for example, eggs and avocado as well. Protein within milk, so casein protein, can help with muscle mass in people who are building muscle as well. It helps to slow down digestion and absorption. So it might be something to consider as well before going to sleep. And if you find that you're hungry in the evenings as well, do try and stick to like a small protein-rich snack as well. Again, that's going to help to promote sleep cycles as well.
Yeah, it's sort of like just wrapping your head around what that might look like, I think. So do ask if you've got any questions. The slides are being a bit slow here, so I think my internet must be a bit dodgy. So apologies for that. So then thinking about drinks. So you mentioned earlier, didn't you, Mandeep, about thinking about cutting caffeine after lunch. I think for some people, alcohol is perhaps a hidden sleep disruptor. And we would very much recommend that you limit your alcohol intake, especially if you're taking a weight loss medication, because they're really not recommended to be taking together, really and truly, just because your liver will have quite a lot of processing to do. So these are some nice alternatives, and all of which can help to promote sleep. So there's a really delicious tart cherry juice, which is high in melatonin. It's the Montmorency cherry, and it can promote sleepiness. So you want to be thinking about drinking that throughout the day, really. Our melatonin will start being produced first thing in the morning, so it isn't something that we just produce in the evening. Passion flower again is lovely. It's a really nice tea. If you haven't tried it, it's really worth trying. It is a very relaxing tea. It promotes a production of one of our relaxing neurotransmitters, GABA. So again, a couple of cups of passion flower tea can be really interesting. Chamomile, I think we all have heard of chamomile tea, and it's been found to promote better quality sleep and helps to reduce sleeplessness and reduces insomnia. So it's really worth thinking about that. And then also valerian root tea has also got some healthy properties in terms of promoting healthier sleep. We really want to think about the caffeine coming out. Maybe even if you're somebody who thinks, oh, caffeine doesn't affect me at all, and I used to be one of those people. I can put my hand up to that. And it really did affect me much more than I realized. So when you start cutting it down, you can feel a bit grotty. So really make sure you're just taking it down slowly. If you're somebody who's drinking more than 3 or 4 cups of caffeinated teas and coffees a day, really think about cutting that down and bringing the sort of time earlier in the day that you stop drinking those. Switch to decaf. The flavor is different, but the amount of caffeine is so much less, and it really can make a difference. So this is really interesting as well, isn't it, Mandeep? The circadian rhythm.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I'm definitely gonna try passion flower tea. I've not tried that one before, Ruth, so that's a great recommendation. So yeah, so let's talk through some more ways in which we can reset our body clock and get it back into its natural, what's called the circadian rhythm, so that it works at its best potential. If you can do this, then you're much more likely to feel more alert, have better strength and stamina, and more control over what you eat as well. I'm feeling more energized as well, so you might want to go and do more activities. Maintaining your regular sleep and wake times also helps to keep your metabolism balanced as well, which is quite important. And as we mentioned earlier, it helps to support our hormone stability as well, which is really important for keeping weight loss off as well. So, a couple of ways to how we can reset our body clock is so getting outside for 5 minutes as soon as you can after you wake up. So, this is a really, really good way to regulate your melatonin. Which is your sleep hormone, and it's released throughout the day, and it allows us to drop off to sleep at night. So generally speaking as well, getting as much daylight as possible will help to keep you more alert as well through the day. So if you're working, for example, sitting by a window can maximize how much light you get in the day as well. Trying blocking, you may have come across this for like blue lights and minimizing blue light exposure. So this is the light that we get from looking at screens, which negatively impacts our sleep because it suppresses that production of melatonin we mentioned, the important sleep hormone. So try and reduce your exposure to this in late afternoon and by evening. You can get like these blue light blocking glasses now, which are, really helpful to help to minimize that exposure. And I always say to people, try and put all your devices away when you're in bed. Like, that will really disrupt your sleep pattern. So that might be a habit to think about.
Yeah, it's a tough one to crack, I think, personally, but yeah, really worth the effort. So we also have a lovely nighttime wind down that we will share a link to. And so just thinking about some tips for restful sleep, thinking about creating the right environment for sleep is really important. It's about consistency. I think that's the number one. It's a bit like everything. in that whole weight loss journey is about not being perfect, not putting yourself under pressure to be perfect, but just trying to be consistent. So, some thinking around sleep is lots of research suggests maybe being in a slightly darker environment for an hour before you go to bed or you try and go to sleep can really help to support the release of the sleep hormone. So that's really worth thinking. So being in a quieter, calmer, darker environment can really help. So dim your lights, maybe think about low lighting. A cool bedroom, which is quite hard when it's incredibly hot with the radiators off in the winter, windows open, if that is something you're able to do, can help to drop your core body temperature, which again can help with sleep. So there's sort of like the suggestion of having a warm bath, which actually then helps to drop your core body temperature when you get out of the bath. And that's why a warm bath or a shower may help, because actually you'll end up with a lower body temperature as a result of having those. And really, a bit like when we're sort of helping children to establish nighttime routines, it's just the same for us as adults. So it's thinking, okay, what do I need to do? I need to stop overstimulating myself with screens or with the television or with scary programs on TV that really trigger my cortisol production and make me feel really energized. It's about maybe some meditation or some breath work, maybe a little bit of yoga that you could do at home, or even just like doing a little bit of gratitude practice or writing in a journal. There are lots of brilliant apps, like there's Headspace, and there's another really good app that's I can't think of the name of. That's really good. It's got some really nice nighttime wind downs, and we've got a sleep shavasana that Dr. Sam recorded for us with her very melodic voice, that we can share a link to for you. And if for any reason you're not able to pick up the links after the webinar, you will get an email that will have all of those links. So you should be able to pick them up from the email that's sent out. So hopefully that will be useful for you. So just thinking about taking stock over the next few days, I'm going to also share the last poll if I can find it, which would be quite interesting. So let's have a look at our final poll for today. We've got two actually, so let's do this one. Sorry everyone, a bit techie slow today. Yeah, my laptop, I have to say, is being really slow. So I can only see half a poll at the moment. So let's have a think. What are you going to do over the next few days? If sleep's an issue for you, maybe just start off by noticing the patterns, notice what the stress patterns are, notice whether you can make any scheduled changes to what you're snacking on in the evening, whether you're perhaps reaching out for those sugary snacks, maybe making a difference to how well you're sleeping. Revisit that routine every few days or every few months and just see what's going on and what you can do to make improvements. Start thinking about tracking your sleep. That can be really helpful. Some of the sleep wearables can be helpful, although I do wonder about their accuracy. It's not reportedly as accurate or as helpful. And I have heard that some of the wearables can actually impact the quality of our sleep too. I need to go and dive into the research about that, but I don't know if anyone knows. Mandeep, I don't know if you've read anything about that. But
No.
it's interesting that we think these wearable devices are really accurate, but actually they may be having a background effect too. So really worth thinking about all of these things. So that really ends the slides. Just going to quickly tell you where we are over the next few weeks. We will be with you every Monday in July. So we've got the psychology of weight loss coming up next week. And then thinking about how to stop that weight loss cycle, which is really important over the next couple of weeks after that. So do join us. And Shital, if you can share the link to sign up, that would be really good. We're going to close the slides down now. Yeah, that's worked. Yeah, see, I have come to the conclusion my internet is being affected by something here. Not sure what. So everything is going very slowly, including me. Let's see. In terms of the end poll, I don't seem to be able to launch it. That's really interesting. Sorry, everyone. There we go. Maybe that's my problem.
That's it.
There we go. I'm going to launch that very quickly, see what you maybe do differently over the coming week. We're also going to come to your questions, and I'm also going to ask you in a minute what phase of weight loss you're in. You can pop that quickly into the chat box if you like. So if you're at the beginning, let us know. If we're in the middle, do let us know. If you're nearly at maintenance or in maintenance, do let us know. We're always interested to hear how you're doing and where you are on those journeys, because we're here to support you along the whole journey. So let's see. So people are really beginning to see there's a link, I think, Mandy, between
Yeah.
sleep and weight management. So that's really what we wanted today. A lot of people are really being adversely affected by sleep and a busy mind. So really think about those wind down practices, I would say. So turning the TV off when you didn't think you wanted to, but actually sleep has become suddenly quite important. And maybe listening to a meditation or to a really, you can listen to talking books, can't you, from the library, or if you want to have an app, you can download apps and actually you can listen to nighttime calming stories. You can listen to meditations. So it's really about finding something that works for you. Some people just find sitting quietly and listening to some music is the answer. So it's about each person finding their thing. So yeah, lots of people who are really being impacted by that poor sleep quality and duration. So sorry to hear that. There's a lot of you. It's 40% of you,
Mm.
and 40% again with stress and a busy mind. So, really helpful for us to know that, and also helpful for you to know that you're not on your own with this, because I think sometimes when you're struggling, it can feel like you're the only one who's struggling. And we know that's absolutely not the case, don't we, Mandeep?
Yeah, absolutely.
And while we start taking your questions, I'm just going to launch the weight loss phase poll as well. So, but let's move on to the questions as well. There we go. Shall we update those and see where we're going? Oh, how many cups is 400 milligrams? It varies, doesn't it? So things like coffee can have up to about 150 milligrams in a cup. So if it's a good quality, strong coffee, you probably only want a maximum of three. If you're a tea and coffee drinker, I think tea has got fractionally less.
Yeah.
But you probably want three or four maximum in a day. Um, and maybe thinking about bringing those down to sort of in the morning time only. I mean, lots of people enjoy a first cup of tea or coffee. There's no problem with that, unless you're really caffeine sensitive, and in which case that might be worth really looking at. If you try reducing your caffeine, be honest with yourself, keep a tally how much you're drinking. I know lots of people who have in the past drunk huge amounts of caffeine, like we're human and it's there, and it seems to be one of our cultural things now is to be drinking tea and coffee all day long. If you're in an office situation, people make tea and coffee all day long as well, and people are always offering you teas and coffees. So maybe make sure there's some herbal or fruit teas in the office too. If you're in a work situation, make sure if you're at home and working from home, you've got those herbal or fruit teas on the counter. It's really helpful that it's hot, because I'm really inspired to drink loads of cold water. Hopefully you are too. So actually we can use this hot spell as a time to switch over. Yeah, it's sort of like a tough time, but it is really worth thinking about how
And
you.
even like cold drink, like Coke, for example, that contains the same amount of caffeine as I think like a cup of tea
Yeah.
as well. So yeah, just thinking about those kind of things. Definitely a good time to experiment with different like waters and adding different fruits and things to your water as well.
Yeah, exactly. Mandy, do you want to pick up a question?
Let's have a look what we got. So I think I have low estrogen testosterone, but awaiting doctor to approve HRT. Will that help? I've ordered Sage tablets to help with hormones. So yeah, so we cover this in we do a whole webinar, don't we, Ruth? We've
Yeah.
got with Rupa. She really is an expert on menopause, all things menopause, and how these can affect weight loss as well. So if you've not had a chance to do so, I'd definitely recommend joining that as well, because as we mentioned earlier, absolutely these hormones can affect your weight as well, and your ability to lose weight. So if it's reassuring to know that you've spoken to your GP
Yeah.
and try and get that sorted because it will also affect your sleep as well. So yeah, absolutely, it is all linked. Sage tablets, I'm not familiar with. Ruth, I don't know if
And
that's
then
something.
I think anecdotally they may help a little bit with hot flushes. And some people find drinking sage tea can be helpful. So it's worth giving those things a go. They aren't going to be a direct replacement for something like HRT, but everyone is on their own health journey. We all have different thoughts and feelings about whether we want to take medications or not. And it's about you following your own wishes really as much as anything. So see how you're feeling and what the results come back with. Yeah, and there are replays for that webinar. So Chantal, if you can share the link for the replay for the menopause and weight loss webinar, that'd be really good. But we will be running it again later on after the summer holidays, probably in about October time. So yeah, do come along to that. Somebody's asking how much caffeine in a black tea, especially if you let it steep for some time. Well, I guess we know that it's going to be quite high in caffeine, probably less than a cup of coffee, so maybe about half what's in a coffee. But again, it's cumulative, isn't it? And if you're really having it very dark and very strong, it's going to have a slightly richer amount of caffeine in. So again, if you're wanting to limit to 400 milligrams a day, you probably need two or three of those or four of those at the most. So, and again, try and get those before lunchtime, especially if you're noticing that your sleep isn't great. It could well be making a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got another one here. So, could the lack of sleep, 2 to 3 hours a night, explain increasing weight gain around hips and thighs, even though I eat well and not late at night and have good daily activity? Yeah, absolutely. So, I think Ruth, as you mentioned earlier, the baseline is at least 6, but ideally 7 hours of sleep a night. And we know there is a direct link between a lack of sleep and an increase in weight gain because then you're more likely to make poorer food choices the next day. So definitely try and increase the amount of sleep from 2 to 3 hours. Even if you can get it up to 6 to 7 hours, I think will definitely have an impact.
Yeah. And if you're experiencing, I think there'll be a few people who are experiencing that broken sleep. So it's worth just thinking, okay, what are the factors here? It's probably unlikely to just be caffeine. Caffeine may be a factor, but actually, do you have an imbalance in your blood glucose? Are you sort of more prone to sort of changes in your energy through the day? Are you nailing that protein at breakfast to really help with that sleep? Have you got inflammation going on in your body? Is there pain? Do you have any joints that are hurting you regularly? Those are signs of possible inflammation. So really think about that. Have you got a huge amount of stress going on? How are you managing your stress? All of these things are going to potentially have an impact on the quality of sleep that you're getting. They're
Mm.
also potentially going to be having an impact on your hormones that are going to be affecting your sleep. So insulin can be affecting our sleep and affect our sleep. So it's a bi-directional relationship. Leptin, again, can be really affected by sleep and broken sleep. And it can be, if we have a little bit of leptin resistance, we can have problems with sleep as well. So all of these things, work almost together in a negative loop, and they can also work together in a positive loop. So it's about all of the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle and putting them together. I think it's very rare that changing just one thing is going to be the answer. Would you agree, Mandeep?
Yeah, absolutely, I do, Ruth. I think it is really important that we try and address kind of all the different areas as opposed to just focusing, just on one because everything it does go hand in hand, as well. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And,
Got
and
another.
it's not going to be an overnight shift either, is it? It's going to be something that will take practice, persistence, and just time. You just have to give it the time. Yeah.
Yeah, got another one here. This is not related to sleep. It's actually about the new. I've lost it. The new Wegovy pills.
Yeah.
So the new Wegovy pills are only available in lower two doses. Will the higher ones be available soon? Um, and I'm on the highest Manjaro, but would like to switch. And will Manjaro have a pill form? Okay, so three questions. So, in terms of availability, yes. So we are hoping they will be available the higher doses in the next coming weeks. My best advice is to keep an eye on our website. That is kind of the first place that gets updated with availability. In terms of switching, again, the short answer is yes, but just to caveat that with it depends on how long you've been on your dose, how you're getting on, and any kind of side effects. So just speak to your healthcare provider, and if it's us at Boots Online Doctor, then message us via your patient portal, and we can support you with that. That's something we're doing at the moment. Will Manjaro have a pill form? So um, Eli Lilly, which is the company that have produced Manjaro, they are looking and they have submitted a proposal for an oral tablet. It's not Manjaro though, so it is a different drug, so different medication. It's going to be called orforglipron, but that's currently going through the regulatory and safety kind of approval channels at the moment. So again, I think our website will be the best kind of place to keep up to date. As soon as we've got information, we try and get it out to you guys as soon as possible.
Yeah. Okay, that's really helpful. A few people are commenting that the links that we're sharing aren't working, so apologies for that. We will make sure that we pop them into the email that comes out to you after the webinar in the next 24 or so hours. Somebody's talking about their weight loss target, which I think is really interesting. I'm wondering whether they should set that to half a stone lower than their original target. The revision is to counter any weight I may put on when I come off a weight loss medication, Manjaro. I'm happy with meals, diet, and never had any adverse symptoms from taking the medication. Well, that's great to hear. Um, I think what we recommend is when you're hitting that maintenance phase, that you allow yourself a half an hour, not half an hour, a half a stone window, so 2, 3 kilos, and sort of think about your weight goal being within that half a stone, if you like, rather than a specific number. So, say, for example, you wanted to be around 10 stone, you would set your weight loss goal to be between 10 and 10 and a half stone, for example, because we know that it's very likely if you stop the medication or when you stop the medication that you may have a little bit of rebound weight gain. And we want people to understand that that will happen, that there will be a slight increase in your appetite, and you need to just know that's going to happen and be prepared for that to happen. And everything should eventually settle back down, but it will take a little while. So we don't want you being fixated on one number, do we, Mandy? We want you just being really like, okay, it's about how I feel, it's my energy, it's how I feel in the clothes I'm wearing, it's about how I feel when I look in the mirror. It's all of those other things as well. It's about whether I can walk more speedily than I used to be able to because I'm in a lighter body. All of those things count just as much as that number. And the number on the scales is the one thing that tends to trip a lot of people up, isn't it? We also think you should keep a little bit of an eye because we know we don't want you to suddenly balloon and put weight back on. So it's sort of like a fine balancing act. But we are 100% here to support you in the webinars. If you're a Boots Online Doctor customer or patient, please email through and ask us, to give you some advice or ask us some specific questions. We can then advise you. We want this to be your success story. So actually, if everything goes well for you, then that makes us feel really happy that we've done a good job with you as well, for you and supported you. So let us know. We don't want you struggling at all, do we?
No, and also, kind of allow yourself. It is normal, Ruth, as you mentioned, to have some weight regain once you stop treatment. That's your hormones kind of, rebalancing themselves out. So, and that's okay. It's just about sticking to the habits that you formed, the nutritional, sticking to your core eating plan, continue with your physical activity. So if you can kind of, it's consistency, isn't it? Key. I think we've spoken about this before. So as long as you can remain consistent, things will balance out. Just give it a little bit of time. But yeah, try not to be too harsh on yourself either.
Yeah, definitely. It's really important just to be kind to yourself, isn't it? And to other people on this journey too. Somebody's saying multivitamins and sleep disruption. Do you have any advice about these, please? Some multivitamins for perimenopause seem to have very high levels of certain nutrients in. That's really interesting. I've not looked at any research relating to whether they may be stimulatory. I know the recommendation would be to take B vitamins generally before lunchtime because they can be stimulatory. They're the main ones. Magnesium for some people can help with restful sleep. So we would often recommend something like a magnesium spray, which you don't have to take orally. You can rub into your skin, or you can use some Epsom salts and you can soak in those. That can help with restful sleep. It may be if you're feeling like you're taking a multivitamin and it's affecting your sleep, I would stop taking it for 3 or 4 days, see how things settle down. There may be something in there that actually for you is really stimulatory. And some people need vitamins in certain formats. So you might need methylated B vitamins or non-methylated B vitamins, depending on you. So every off-the-shelf product will be created differently. So it's really worth stopping, seeing how you feel, seeing if your sleep improves. The higher the level of nutrient may have an impact. Quite often they're high because we know that at certain life stages we are particularly low in some nutrients. It is just about you as an individual. I generally think it's worth just seeing what's going on for you and test out the theory. If you think it is affecting your sleep, give it a break and see how that goes. Let us know. It'd be really interesting to hear how that goes.
I also think as well, the other one is if you're going to the gym or you're doing an activity, if you think that may be disrupting your sleep as well, maybe think about switching the times. I've come across this before when people go into the gym like late in the evening, and then obviously you're really invigorated, and then that's also affecting sleep as well. So another one to kind of think about.
Yeah. Somebody's asking about going to the loo more, like passing more urine, and how that can be really annoying, particularly, well, they didn't say that, but I'm interpreting that as a bit annoying because it can disrupt your sleep at night. And we know that that can be a fact. I think it's something to do with when you're losing weight and your glycogen stores depleting. So it should be something that settles down. And I think if you're continuing to have broken sleep because you need to get up and pass urine, the sort of sign that your sleep is in good shape, if you like, isn't that you necessarily need to get up and go to the loo. It's whether you get back to sleep again. So you can actually get up and go to the loo 2 or 3 times and still have really good quality sleep if you're getting back to sleep. If though that's waking you up and you're struggling to get back to sleep, then we need to do some more work on balancing your sleep because actually in health, you should be able to do that and go back to sleep relatively reasonably quickly. And I think that's the thing, really. It's not necessarily that your sleep is broken, and you may find your sleep is broken when you're on a weight loss journey just because that's the way it works. We do drink more. We're probably drinking what we should be drinking anyway, but we put more conscious effort in, and we may find that we pee more at night. That's just part of the story, unfortunately. You've answered the one about the Wegovy pills, haven't you? It's an interesting question, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, so this kind of ties back in with what I was mentioning about maybe having like a something protein based
As
before
a
going to
question,
sleep. But yeah,
the
absolutely. A
question is
diet.
whether eating too few calories or very low calories can impact sleep quality. So yeah, absolutely. Say exactly what you're saying, Mandeep. A little bit of a bedtime snack, maybe something like a couple of oat cakes with some peanut butter, or a milky drink if you like milk. That can be helpful because of the casein. Just something smaller. It's not a mini meal, it's a mini snack, but it may make a difference. Or maybe something like for me, some Greek yogurt with some of that Montmorency cherry juice and a few nuts and a couple of berries. I'd be in heaven, and that would be a really nice bedtime snack as well. So something like that would work really well. Sometimes we can wake up because we're almost like having a stress response in our body. So maybe you're hungry and your body is perceiving that as stress. And so then you're releasing some cortisol and your body will wake you up as a protective mechanism. So it's almost like having to work out how you calm that switch of protecting you down. So that's where the snack would come in. I
And
agree.
just prioritizing protein throughout the day as well. Just making sure that you're
Yeah.
getting enough protein in because that will impact your sleep as well, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, I'm just looking through. We've answered all the questions I can see in the Q&A box. So just checking the chat box. Um, Lots of links being shared. Thank you, Chantal, for that. If you get good quality coffee and the flavour of decaf isn't anywhere as noticeably different. Lovely comment, Kitty. Totally agree with you on that. I agree with you. Um, can you repeat what you said about weight loss meds and processing it, please? I'm not sure. Can you remember what you said?
Um, was this to do with alcohol? We mentioned the liver. If you're also, so we don't recommend drinking alcohol if you're using weight loss treatment like the GLP ones. And I think Ruth had mentioned that because then there's it's a burden on your liver to process too much, but also increases your risk of pancreatitis as well. So I think it was to do with that.
Okay. All right. Somebody's asking about the link between menopause and sleep and weight management. So as Mandeep said, there's a whole webinar you can watch on replay. Really, really worth watching. We know that when we go through menopause, perimenopause, that we become less sensitive to insulin, much more at risk of insulin resistance. Our gut microbiome bacteria, the balance of those will also change, which can have an impact on weight as well. So there's so much that's going on in bodies at that life phase. So it's about just finding your way through gently and being really kind to yourself. Thank you for the feedback. We really appreciate it. We've shared the feedback link with you, and we would really appreciate you taking a couple of minutes to share any feedback that you have. I think that's all of our questions today, Mandeep. Um,
Yeah. Got a
Anything?
comment here from Daff, very tired after the football match, but worth it. Yes, I absolutely agree.
Did you stop and watch as well, Mandeep?
I didn't watch it, no, but I'm still feeling tired. It was a good match from what I've heard.
Yeah,
Definitely keep drinking water, stay hydrated. That's what I'm telling all my friends today who are telling me they were up till quite late. So yeah, keep hydrated and think about your food choices today and an early night tonight, definitely.
definitely. Or just a mediocre night. All right, well, we're going to call it there. Say thank you. Sorry for the slow sharing of links and things. I think the weather is having an effect more widely than we think. Thanks so much, Mandeep, and thanks to Shital as well. And thank you so much to everybody who joined us today. And we will be back next week and really look forward to seeing some, if not all of you then. Okay, take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.